Doing good. Just really excited. I haven't been a part of a draft where we've acquired 13 new players, so big time credit to Goody and his staff, and ready to get to work with these guys.
Man, what's going to be the challenge of trying to coach 13 of those guys? That's such a large number of rookies. And you said you haven't had that many.
Well, I think every year I don't necessarily believe so. I think every year you get these guys in, you try to learn about them as best you can, as quickly as possible, and get them up to speed.
Two tight ends so highly drafted, double dipping there?
I have not. I mean, I can't. I don't know if I've been a part of a draft where we've drafted two tight ends. So that's exciting. Both those guys are big, physical, fast. So I thought we did pretty well right there.
You know how multiple you like to be with your offense, how much you like to utilize the tight end. What does that do for you schematically to open things up with your offense that you just can't do if you don't have the horses there?
Well, I think we're pretty early in that game right now. We're still kind of one of the challenges, and we were talking about this the other day with the offensive staff and really with our staff in general is, you're trying to implement a system, and you know that you're a little light in some areas, and so it does present a little bit of a challenge putting all that together. And now that we've got a little bit of clarity on what we have, and again, it's going to be pretty fluid, I would say, throughout the course of the off season in terms of what we're going to do. But I think our job as coaches is to find out what people do the best and put them in those situations, and still always trying to work on maybe what are perceived weaknesses or whatever. But just really excited about the group overall. I think we definitely got better. Now it's on us to try to develop these guys as quickly as possible and put them in situations where they can showcase their talents.
What do you think of
Whoa. A lot of guys at one time. What you got, Matt?
What do you think of just the youth you have on offense now? Like you've relied on Aaron, Bobby, Randall, Mercedes, Allen a lot the last couple of years, and they're all gone now.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to work through. And in regards to, there is a ton of youth. You look at just the skill position rooms in particular. Obviously, up front, we've got some experience. With our running backs, we've got some experience. But it's going to be interesting to see how much we can really put on these guys' plates. Because typically, I would say the more veteran you are, the more volume you can carry in your offense. And so that's going to be one of those things that we're going to have to probably figure out throughout the course of OTAs in a training camp to kind of see where this offense goes.
Matt, you got two rookie kickers right now, and I realize you're not kicking a field goal that matters for 4.5 months, but what do you think about not having a veteran guy in an important role?
Yeah, I think that's it's going to be a process that we're going to have to work through and kind of see where it goes. And but I think we got two guys that we're pretty confident in. Obviously, drafting Anders, and Rich has some history with him, and obviously his brother working with him in Las Vegas. So we thought he was a really good fit for us.
What did you like about Sean when it came time to draft a quarterback, and would you still like to add a veteran to that mix as well?
Potentially. I think we're open to anything. I think those are going to be ongoing conversations with myself and Goody. But Sean is a guy that is really intelligent. He's played a lot of games. He's got some athleticism. He's a natural thrower. All the things that we look for in quarterbacks, he possesses. So we had him up here on a 30 visit and went through the meetings with him, and were impressed by his football acumen and just his overall intelligence, and looking forward to getting a chance to work with him come rookie minicamp.
Matt, do you think you still need to add a veteran quarterback and maybe a veteran in the receiver room, or are you good with this, what you have?
I think potentially. I think we'll just, like I said, I think we're going to be fluid with it, and we'll see what these guys can do. And those are going to be ongoing conversations with myself and Goody and his staff. And if the opportunity presents itself, I think that's something that we're always going to try to do what's best for our football team in that regard.
Well, going back to the youth that you have now at the skill positions, you got a first-year starter at quarterback. Do you feel like you're kind of starting over here, and what's it realistic to expect from a group with that much youth at those key spots?
Well, I think the expectations are to put in the work each and every day and get better and better and better. But never going to limit what we can and cannot do. We just got to find out what works best. Certainly, having a lot of youth is exciting because you really don't know until you get these guys in here and start to work with them. But I do think we've got some talented players to work with, and we'll see what they can handle.
Going back to the tight ends, what does that position do when you got talent there for a young quarterback that needs to develop? We talked about it being a safety net, but schematically, what does that do for a young QB?
I think it just all depends on what you're asking these guys to do, and I think both these guys are big and can run. Certainly, they've got a lot of growth. I think that's one of the positions that there is a little bit of a transition from the college game to the NFL, and just in some of the things schematically that we're going to ask them to do, not only in the pass game but in the run game, and we'll see how it evolves over the course of OTAs and our off-season program and into training camp.
Matt, how do you see a guy like Jaden, with his skill set, sort of fitting into what you guys do offensively and get through it?
Yeah, I think he's a super talented receiver. Certainly has, just a lot of the characteristics we look for. First of all, he's fast. He can make contested catches. He's got the return ability, which is huge. I think he's got a lot of versatility in terms of being able to go outside or inside. And more than anything else, I love how he competes. I think he's got a dog mentality, and that's what we're looking for, really, not only at the receiver position, but every position on our team.
Matt, how different will this second year be for Christian and Romeo? Not just from a knowledge of the offense standpoint, but they're going to be looked to now by a lot of these young perimeter guys as NFL guys who have produced.
Yeah, they're the only two experienced guys in our room right now. So Samori got limited action last year, which is nice. But the one thing I'll say is I think that the older veterans that they were around a year ago really kind of set the expectations for them in terms of how we practice and our process, everything we do from the meeting rooms to out on the field. And I think they learned from some great ones in terms of, guys like Randall and Allen but certainly, they are the veteran presence in that room, which is unique. I don't think I've ever been around a room that young before. And we're a long way from kicking off week one, so we'll see how everything transpires from here until that time.
Matt, I understand it's only been 12 days since you got your guys back in here, but is Jordan walking around with maybe a different mojo now that he's the number one guy?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's been a cool process from the day we drafted him to see him now, just to see how he's matured in every facet of life. I think you guys probably notice it even when you're in the locker room. So I think he definitely understands that he's the guy in charge. He's going to be the guy in the huddle, and he's got to be an extension of us. And we're excited for him. We've got a lot of confidence in him. I think he showed it just in the limited action he did last year, and just the ability to step in there and the moment was not too big for him. You could see that. He was super poised, and that quite frankly gave us the confidence that we needed to see from him.
I want to ask you about the leadership too. I'm not sure if you can lead being a backup quarterback, so maybe if I'm wrong, let me know. But is there a different Jordan Love as a leader right now? And what is a leading Jordan Love like? What is his approach in that?
Well, I think he's still Jordan, and I think he's still got a ton of room for growth, and he's going to continue to evolve. But I think you're right, Bill. It is hard to lead when you're not the guy, and he knows he's the guy now. So I think that comes with it, just instills confidence in him, and I think his teammates, he's first of all, he's earned the respect by his actions, the way he works, from all his teammates, I would say. And I'm excited for him. I think it's going to be a process, but one that I know that he can handle.
Matt, you're up to 8 number ones now on that defensive side of the ball. How much do you think that draft capital needs to produce to kind of even lessen the pressure on Jordan to produce a lot on the other side?
Well, I'd say everybody has to. I think, like I said before, every year in this league, there's going to be transition, there's going to be turnover. Certainly, I think we're in a position right now where there's been more than there's been in quite some time here. So I think the challenge is, how do you reinvent yourself each and every year, knowing that the standards and expectations don't change? I mean, we're expected to win. That's what this business is all about. And certainly, when you have a first-year starter at the QB position, we need everybody from coaches to every player on our roster to perform and produce at a high level and play complete team football.
You constructed this offense for a guy who had seen every blitz there ever was on the face of the earth, he's in Hall of Fame, all that kind of stuff. Do you have to deconstruct now a little bit to start over with Jordan to fit what he can do at the line? Is that what you guys have been doing this offseason?
Not necessarily. I think the one thing I'll tell you is just being around him for now going into year 4, he's learned a lot, and he's seen a lot, and obviously learning when you're behind one of the greatest to ever do it. I think Jordan has done an outstanding job just kind of picking his brain and learning from Aaron. But like I said, it's going to be a process because it's not just about that position. I mean, that's a big part of it, but it's also, we've got some younger tight ends, we've got a bunch of young wideouts. So it's about the collective and how we come together and what we want to be on the field.
How is that process for you and your staff then? Not just with Jordan, but all those other young guys. Is there some trial and error involved in figuring out how you want to coach them? Do you go back, I don't know, maybe to when you and Sean and Kyle were kids yourselves? You had some young guys there. Like, how do you go about it after what you've been doing for so long here as a coach?
Yeah, I personally think that every year you're looking to evolve. The game is ever evolving, and we've studied a lot of teams and seen some of the stuff that, maybe like San Francisco performed at a pretty high level last year with a really young quarterback. You're just trying to study all these other teams and maybe take bits and pieces and what fits within your philosophy and, make it your own. And so that process has started, and we're going to be fluid throughout to see really where it goes.
Did you get any closure with Aaron after the trade at all? Did you get any chance to just kind of say whatever?
I'm not really going to get into just everything that's transpired there. Certainly, you guys know how I feel about him, and I think most people around here feel about him. He's done a lot for this team, this community, this organization, for myself personally. So I've got nothing but love and respect for him. But like I said, excited for Jordan's opportunity, and I don't think we'd do this or be in this position if we didn't have the confidence in Jordan.
It was a long process for his departure. It didn't just happen overnight, so I imagine that Jordan might have seen it coming at some point, knowing that he's going to elevate into this new role. But what was that conversation like when it was final with him for the first time?
I don't know if we specifically had that conversation. We've been in the building for a couple weeks now, and I think most people assumed it was going to happen, so I don't ever recall having that direct conversation after it became finalized.
Pat, I don't know how the back and forth goes with you and the coaches and with Goody and the scouts, but how much do those top 30 visits for you to spend time around these guys and your assistants and then ending up having them on your roster, what's the value in those?
Oh, there's a ton of value because you get an opportunity to sit down, try to feel out a person, their personality, quiz them a little bit, try to find out what they know about football. But really, it's hard to, everybody comes from a different situation, so you don't want to put too much stock in what people maybe have not been exposed to. It's more or less, at least for me, in my opinion, it's about finding, are these guys capable of learning it? And how much do they love football? You're trying to get a feel for the person. Are they going to fit within our culture, within that locker room? Which I think Goody does and his staff do an unbelievable job of vetting these guys and making sure that they are fits from a character perspective. And, certainly I think as coaches, we definitely appreciate that.
You added the one safety in the 7th round. So how do you feel about what you have right now on the roster at that position at safety?
Well, I think time will tell. And that's another position that's going to be fluid, I'm sure. And we're always going to try to do what's best for us to go out there and compete at our best level and win football games.
But you keep talking about you're excited and the youth and all these young skill guys. What has it meant for you? Is it new juice for you? Does it get the creative juices flowing a little bit? Because, like you said, you don't know what they can do, so maybe you can try different things with them and see if they can handle that. Has it changed your excitement level going into this season because so much is going to be new for this team and your offense?
I feel like I'm excited every year, but well, it's just, it's going to be a process. I realize that, and anytime you're around guys that you just got to find out what we can do with these guys and how much volume you can place on them, and just kind of see where the offense goes over the course of the offseason. But like I said, there's been a lot of time, I think, that our staff has spent studying just trends around the league and what's being successful. And, that's exciting. That's fun. That's what I enjoy doing. And then trying to teach these guys what we want to do and where this offense and really where our football team can go as a whole.
Two more, please. You say off-season when you talk about that process, but with a first-time starting quarterback, that process might venture into his first season starting as well. How do you balance being hard on him and the expectation, the level, the standard that he needs to play to, but with the patience to give him time to develop?
Well, I think he's been around us for some time now, and so all these guys, and that all you can ask of anybody, and all we will ask of anybody, is to go out and compete, to be your best each and every day, and you got to make sure that you're learning along the way. And a lot of times you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. But like I said, I just think it's going to be a really fluid situation throughout.
Matt, Rob asked Goody a really good question yesterday about, you got a first-year starter. Yeah, it was shorter than one, I can tell you that.
It was much shorter.
Yeah. You got a first-year starter at quarterback. You got those 3 wide receivers from last year. Now you got 2 rookie tight ends, 3 wide receivers in this class. I'm wondering, I know you're focused on this year, but how does the idea grab you of this group all kind of developing together and them going all the way through this process, the ups and the downs, as kind of a group of a nucleus of young offensive players?
You're not going to like my response, but I don't put a whole lot of thought into that. I put a lot of thought into what we're going to do today and tomorrow, and naturally, I think it's going to occur. It's going to be organic. It's going to be fun. I think, we get into coaching because, number one, we love the game. We love working with these guys, and we want guys to reach their potential. I love seeing guys develop, mature over time, and that's part of it each and every year. We always see new faces. It's always sad to see old faces go. But that's just the name of the game. And I think I do think today, like I said, adding 13 draft picks. I've never been a part of a team, I don't believe, that has added that many new pieces. So it really doesn't matter. It's all on paper right now. And we tell the guys, I really don't care how you got here. All I care about is what you do when you are here. And so these guys are going to come in here in a week, and we'll get to find out what they're all about.
Matt, what is your level of comfort with the offensive line? I mean, you didn't add anybody. You could have taken a guy in the first round, maybe a tackle. You have a lot of young guys from last year. So what is your comfort level there, and how much jump do you have to make there, you think, this year?
I think we got a lot of depth on our line. Matter of fact, we talked about it going into the offseason. It's as deep as a offensive line as I can ever remember being around, not losing really anybody from last season. So it's going to be a very competitive situation, as are many spots on our roster, and it's going to be awesome to watch these guys go out there and compete each and every day. And you know, ultimately, it'd be nice to try to find the best five. And you liked that, didn't you, Matt? But you know, we had so many different starting fives last year when you really look at it. You know, on a week-to-week basis. So it'd be nice to come out of OTAs, out of training camp, and settle on those five, and just, you know, hopefully we can stay healthy, because I do think there's something to just having continuity on the offensive line. I think that allows you to function at a much higher level, and, you know, we'll see how it goes, how it works out.